Hey folks, welcome back. This is Steven. I'm going to talk to you about the end of day 3 and principally day 4 of the Cannonball. I'm just going to narrate this. Feel free to put this at 2x to get through the content a little more quickly. Day 3, we roll in the evening up into Traverse City. I stop at the main hotel to check in, and then I hightail it down to the motel where I'm staying, which is right down on the bay, right on the water there, because there's a storm coming. I stop at Culver's, grab some burgers and like some ice cream and get over there to the motel. That evening I have my windscreen that came in on the evening of day 2 that I picked up, and I'm trying to put that on my scooter. It starts to rain, so I take my scooter up and put it underneath the awning right next to the building, and I get yelled at by like the manager saying that you got to move your scooter, even though like nobody's out there and it's really not that big of a deal. But I'm kind of peeved about that because I needed to like check some oil stuff, check some nuts underneath the scooter, tire pressures, and just do a bunch of general maintenance. And you know, we got a steady rain going on, so who wants to do that stuff when you're out in the elements? So like not fun and just not convenient to be working on the bike in those conditions. So I end up getting the windscreen on. It looks super janky. I scratched up some of the paint and plastic stuff. End up going to bed, getting up early in the morning, and on day 4 in the morning it's raining harder than it was on day 2. Like, it's coming down pretty good. So I get on all my Frogs Togs gear and my neoprene mittens and like these boot covers and stuff, and I take off in the dark going north towards the Mackinac Bridge. Day number 4, 5:53 a.m. in Traverse City. It's raining. It's dark. Dalton is coming soon. I'm leaving. And I'm in my Frogs Togs, all my stuff. I put on this janky windshield last night. It's probably not going to work. My mirrors are really loose. Scratched up my paint and stuff. And it's going to be an unpleasant ride this morning because we're going to have rain for like the next 2 to 3 hours at least. And I'm going to get wet, because it's going to go right through my Frogs Tog suit, because this thing is paper thin and it rips, and it's already torn. Cannonball day 4, trying to push through, baby, and we're only at day 4. And as I'm riding, I got my windscreen, I'm like, okay, this is going okay. I start picking up past 30, and the windscreen just goes, whoo, and just folds flat down, like hits me in the face and folds flat down, and it pushes my mirrors out to the side so they're all out of whack. And I'm just like, son of a gun. This thing looks so janky. It didn't hold. I don't have time to stop and fix it. So I'm like propping it up and holding it with I'm like leaning way forward and letting the windscreen rest right there in the front of my forehead as I'm driving, because I'm getting pelted with rain, and this is just at least another thing to keep the rain off me and hopefully off my body and keep me from getting wet. But my mirrors, I can't even see behind me, guys, because they're like totally twisted. You'll see here in one of the pictures, because I had to maneuver them to get the windscreen in like the same bolt holes or stuff. So now they're totally loose and off track. So I'm just a road hazard to myself and to other people. Just a bad idea. Moving on. The storm that came through on the night before I left on day 4 out of Traverse City, it took down a bunch of trees and power lines. So as I'm hugging the coast going north of Traverse City up toward the Mackinac Bridge, I'm having to go off the road, onto the grass or into the ditches, and sometimes up through people's property around power lines that were down, around and back onto the road. This happened like 2 or 3 times. There's a bunch of cars backed up. I'm like, I ain't turning around. Just go around it, go through some woods and trees and walk it and drive it, and then kind of get back down on the road and keep on going. The stretch of road between Traverse City and Mackinac was some of the prettiest road that we drove the whole Cannonball. It was right on the water, some twisty, turny like roads. It's on like a back, one lane going each way. Some really nice homes on that in that area, and not a lot of traffic at all. And it's always a good feeling when you get up really early in the morning to like hit the road and get in some miles, kind of like before the rest of the city wakes up and the rest of the riders are going, like you're already out there going for it, and it kind of makes you feel like you got out ahead of it a little bit. Went over the Mackinac Bridge, beautiful, awesome, highly recommend. Then we're up in the UP and we're going west on Highway 2 into a headwind. It's a 2-lane highway. I'm slow. Cars behind me. I was on that road for like 3-ish hours, okay? Not fun at all. Back down into Wisconsin, going to Marshfield. And two of my family members, my wife and my brother, came up to meet me in Marshfield. And this whole time, I'm on the fence about whether or not I'm going to continue, because I live just south of Marshfield in Madison, and I'm thinking this might be it for me. You know, I might just say, screw it, I'm done. I'm just going to drive my scooter back to Madison, and that's it. You know, they can take all my laundry bin and stuff, and I'll just head right on home from here. And I'm having this internal debate. I'm probably like 70 to 80% thinking I'm finished, right? And so we get into Marshfield, and there was another event for us set up where we went over to this motorcycle shop, and they had some hot dogs and burgers for us there, and some sodas and stuff. We kind of chatted with some people and talked about the ride. And I felt torn because I hadn't made my decision yet whether I was going to continue or whether I was going to just go home from there. And they had brought a new windscreen for me that I had ordered previously, but I didn't bring it up, that had like really sturdy mounts and stuff. So I was anxious to get that windscreen on the bike to see if that would work better, because the windscreen issue was just killing me, guys. You need to have a windscreen. And so I'm torn about that. I gotta get that thing on, and then I wanted to take them out for dinner, and I wanted to be a good host and like give them my attention. I felt like responsible. I wanted them to have a nice time. And meanwhile, I've like got all this stuff that I have to do to get ready for the next day if I'm gonna even continue. So it just added to my anxiousness, and I was just stressed, and I almost didn't want them to come because I wanted this so I could just focus on what I had to do. But we ended up getting the windscreen on, and I took it for a spin, and I was like, whoa, this is kind of a game changer. So that was the end of day 4. They ended up going back that evening, and I got up on day 5, and I said, well, you know what? Let's keep pushing. And as I left on day 5, a part of me was like, as 2 or 3 hours into day 5, I was still like, maybe I should just turn around here and head home. Like I was kind of anxious during that time. Anyway, that's all from day 4.